So let's go ahead and talk about NPV. Okay. So as we talk about NPV, we need to understand that NPV stands for net present value. Okay. What that is the total present value, or PV, of a future project cash flow less the initial investment. So, so you should review this information in your book about how to calculate present value and future value. But the idea is this: a firm will have to make a decision to invest in a given project. It will have many opportunities in what projects, what jobs it should do. So how does the firm make the choice? What project should I accept? What project should I not accept? And how do I make this choice? So NPV is the answer. So NPV is this: you get all the cash flow, you estimate all the cash flows that the firm will have, and you also estimate all the cash outflows the firm would have. And then you bring them all to present value. So let's just say that a firm is buying a car factory and he expects that you will receive $1 million every year. So you get all that $1 million that you will receive every year, and you bring them, let's say, for 15 years, okay? And so you're going to bring all of those 15 years, all that future value, in today's dollar, okay? And let's say that firm is investing $4 million out of pocket for that factory. So you have a minus $4 million, and then you're going to have a positive $1 million every year. You bring that all to present value. So number two here, the discount rate is the opportunity cost. Okay. And number three is the initial cost. Okay. So what is the discount rate? Is the risk assessment. Now, and it has everything to do with the idea of present value. If I would say I'm giving you $100, would you prefer if I'll give you the $100 today or in 5 years? Of course you prefer today, because you can put that money to use, you can invest, and you can multiply. So $100 today is not the same of $100 in 5 years. So if you get that $100 in 5 years, it's probably worth today maybe $70 if you go to the bank. So that discount rate would assess the risk of that project. Okay. So so every business will have, you use a different discount rate. You have a different discount rate for every country, because that discount rate will reflect the risk assessment of that specific project, that specific business, that specific country. Okay. And it's not in the scope of this course how to calculate the discount rate. You actually will be given, but that's so you have an idea. Okay. So how should you do? How should you then use NPV? Well, you always will choose, you always will accept a project that has a positive NPV. Why? Because if you bring all the cash flows and all the cash outflows in today's dollar, PV, in present value, and if that amount is positive, that means that same amount is increasing my business value by that exact amount. So my stock price will go up by the exact amount. Of course, you're gonna have to divide that value divided by all stocks, if you know what I'm saying. That you know, it will increase the firm overall valuation. So you always would accept a project that has a positive NPV. And of course, you want the highest NPV, okay? So that's it, that's the rule. So let me give you an example. So suppose that Big Deal Corporation has an opportunity to make an investment of $100,000 that will return $33,000 in year one, $38,000 in year two, $43,000 in year three, and $48,000 in year four, and $53,000 in year five. If the companies require return, that means that's the cost of capital for that firm. They got to have 12%. should they take the investment? Okay, so you have right here, what's the cash flow? So negative 100,000 coming out. Then I have a positive 33 here. You're positive 38, 43, 48, 53. Okay. Now you need to calculate the present value of that. Since this is a year zero, it's a negative 100,000 right out of my pocket. That 33,000, if I discount by 12%, it's 29,000. That 38,000, if I discount 12% for 2 years, it's going to be 30,000, and then so on and so forth. So when we add all that up, that's exactly how you calculate net present value. You have a positive $50,000. So should the business take that project? Absolutely yes, because NPV is greater than 0. Therefore, the investment does return at least the required rate of return. Okay, so they should do it. So with that being said, how many projects should a firm take? As many projects as possible, or all the projects that they can do. Of course, you're going to have a management constraint. You can't actually do everything every time, but the idea in finance, in mathematics, is that you should take all projects that you can that have a positive NPV. And of course, if you have to make a choice, if you have to select the ones that you have the ability to do, you're going to choose the one with highest NPV. Okay? So that's it for NPV. I will also mention with you that it's very important to talk about the internal rate of return. But the internal rate of return is the rate of return that makes NPV equal to 0, okay? And you will accept if the you will accept the project if the internal rate of return exceeds the required return. So if that business was 12%, big deal. For you to accept, if you use the internal rate of return approach, you want to have 13%, 14%, or any value that's above 12%. So you take a look here how the internal return works, which is the same idea as NPV, but NPV is superior. And why do you think it's superior? NPV is better than the internal rate of return. Because the internal rate of return will give you a number in a percentage, but you will not give you an absolute amount of dollars. So let me say that if you are trying to make a choice between 2 projects and the internal rate of return on project A is better than project B, but when you actually go look at the amount in dollars, the NPV of project B is much larger than project A. What project should you choose? Of course, B, because the amount in absolute dollars it's greater on B. Therefore, my value is going up. So that's why I think the internal rate of return is very important. But however, it can be tricky because you can be out of you just don't know how much actually in amount of dollars you're actually making or increasing your values, and maybe the project could be a much lesser or smaller project, and you could actually leave in a lot of money and value under the table. Okay, but if you were to calculate the internal rate of return, you see NPV here equals 0, and then you do the present value of those cash inflows, cash outflows, and then you actually get to the result of internal rate of return. It's somewhat a very complicated mathematical equation. The good news is that your calculator will be able to do that for you in nice and easy, and you will have detailed examples about that in the book. So with that being said, that's it for NPV. Make sure you take a look at your book. Send me an email with any questions. Remember, we have an amazing Harvard business case that you are actually going to make a decision about a restaurant, should you do a restaurant or not, and it's going to be all about using NPV. And that's going to be due next week, next Sunday. Please submit your work timely. Keep doing a good job making your posts and doing your exercises on Connect. And I'm here to help. If you have a comment, a suggestion about the course, please feel free to send me an email, grodriguez@oklahomawesleyan.edu. Or 918-293-8408. I'll be happy to help you and to assist you in any way I can. Okay. So with that being said, thank you very much and have a great week.